On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, Damiano Palmegiani talks about the many turns his baseball journey has already taken and the success he's now seeing today. Welcome to episode 126 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. First things first, happy opening day, everyone. We hope you're able to enjoy some baseball today and during the long weekend. And speaking of, from our dugouts to yours, a happy Easter as well. Our guest this week is a man who has dreams of being on an opening day roster in the not-too-distant future, and the way he's playing, he might not be that far off. Damiano Palmegiani has had quite the journey already in his young baseball career. The native of Surrey, BC, came to Alberta as a teenager to take his career to the next level with Vauxhall Academy. He did that in spades, making it to the Tournament 12 in Toronto, then Baseball Canada's junior national team. In 2018, Palmegiani was drafted in the 35th round by his favorite team, the Toronto Blue Jays. He decided to go to school, first heading to Cal State Northridge in 2019, but he struggled on the field, hitting .157 in 31 games. The COVID-19 pandemic got in the way of any possible rebound in 2020, leading him to a change of scenery with College of Southern Nevada for 2021, and he has shined with the Coyotes. As we record this, Palmegiani is hitting .376 with 13 home runs and 40 RBIs in 31 games. In this wide-ranging conversation, the 6'1", 195-pound sophomore talks about the long road to Nevada, how he turned things around, his commitment announcement earlier this year to Division I Arizona, and much, much more. Damiano, welcome, and thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's start off talking about you being the talk of the baseball world, I think, here in Alberta, especially from a college baseball perspective. How does it feel from your perspective to be having this kind of success so early on?
It feels great. I mean, definitely, it's something I wanted to get done this year. Have obviously good numbers and win a lot of games, which is something that's going on right now. I'd say a lot of it attributes to just kind of, hard work, especially through the pandemic and everything. Got a lot of time at home, a lot of time off. Summer ball was canceled, didn't even get to really play before coming here. So, it was easy to there's some days where I just didn't really see the light at the end of the tunnel when I was going to be able to play again, but I kept, I stayed on top of my swing. I stayed on top of, my fitness levels, everything like that, so that when I stepped foot on campus, I felt ready from day one, and I'm really glad I did that because it's all kind of showing now on the baseball field. So I attribute, I guess, all of it to just kind of hard work and dedicating myself to it.
What's been that key? I mean, you look back at the last year or so, you're sitting in that isolation or whatever the case may be. What did you do to kind of stay on top of your game?
Mm-hmm. So I pretty early into getting back home, isolation and, everything shutting down. I was told summer ball also wasn't going to happen. So I realized I had months to kind of get myself ready to go wherever I was going. And so I really broke things down. This was the first time in a while I've had this much time off. So I really highlighted different parts of my game that I really needed to address. For example, my swing. I wanted to, keep the barrel through the zone longer. That was probably the main thing. In terms of my body, I want to be more flexible. I want to be quicker. So I kind of broke everything down, kind of one by one. And then so I had about 3 months to work on everything. So I got myself into a little schedule, certain days of the week, like 5 days a week, lifting, other 2 days kind of running around and agility and stuff. And every day kind of just swinging the bat as much as I could and throwing. And I think, I think it was great to kind of use that as almost like a glorified off season. I didn't really have a lot of, expectations in terms of I didn't have to play every day or anything like that. So if I was feeling good, bad, or indifferent, I was still getting my work in. And then I think the minute I stepped foot on campus here, I was ready to go. Felt happy to be here and just ready to play every single day.
How important was it to kind of keep that mindset in the game as well? Because I assume for some guys, they, like you said, you treat it like a glorified off season, and you don't necessarily put in the work. You think, okay, well, I'll get back to work once we kind of have the light at the end of the tunnel. And for a while there, it kind of felt like this was going to go on a while. So how important was it to not get lazy during the course of the last year or so?
Mm-hmm. That's incredibly important. That was one thing that I knew I couldn't let happen because I knew at some point I was going to be playing baseball again. And as easy as it is to be, running around in a turf field on a July when there's no baseball scheduled for the next 2 months, it seemed a little weird, but it kind of gave me a little bit of clarity. It kind of helped me kind of focus in on the bigger picture. And that was just an example. But, what I wanted to do was when I first got back and I first started playing, I didn't want to be the guy that had to get some rust off. I didn't want to be the guy who had to ease his way back into it. I wanted to get my feet under me right away and just start, producing right away. I wanted to, kind of be the guy that is kind of shining right away. Whereas maybe other people need the time to kind of get back into it. I definitely did, but at the same time, I knew I was a lot more prepared than a lot of people could say. And that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to, however long it takes to prepare for the season, I want to do it, and so that when I get in, I'm ready to go. It's as if I never dropped the baseball bat or the glove for a couple months.
Did you have a bit of a fire under your rear end because of how things had transpired over the last few years? I mean, you look at 2018 being drafted by the Blue Jays. There's sort of that expectation or that name recognition that comes along with it, and then you had a bit of a rough go at the plate in 2019, and then you had 2020 and the pandemic. So you kind of wanted to maybe make good on some of the expectations that were around you heading out of 2018.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had, like you said, I've experienced a lot of success, but at the same time, I've also had my good share of downs as well. And after high school, there hasn't been a whole bunch to write home about. Like you said, I put a lot of expectations on myself, not just because of what I had done previously, draft and all that, but just because of the kind of player I am. I feel like I have a lot to give to the game. I feel like I have a lot of tools and talent and stuff that when figured out, sky's the limit and all that. So to have a bad 2019 at Northridge, I'm glad I went through it. It was a learning phase. It helped me mature, grow. At the time, I wasn't really adjusting to making adjustments. I wasn't handling failure too great, and I was expecting way too much out of myself. So that happened, and I'm kind of, as weird as it sounds, I'm kind of grateful for it, but I was frustrated. Going to 2020, same kind of thing. Okay, I feel like this is the year I kind of break out a little bit. We have a new coaching staff at Northridge, and I just kind of feel like I'm in the same place I was in 2019. I just don't feel like I'm given as much as I can. And that was also frustrating. That's ultimately what, made me decide to move on to somewhere else, to kind of just change scenery and let's try this again. So I did that, and then the pandemic hit. So not only did I have all this time to prepare, but I also had all this time to think about kind of where my career is going, what I want to do or what I'm prepared to do. So definitely, there were some times where I was thinking, is this, am I going to just kind of start playing for fun now and then, ride it out as long as I can, and then, start my career, elsewhere as a job or whatever. But I told myself that I got, I'm still young. I got way too much left to give. I got a lot of talent here. So the fire was definitely lit under me. And that's where the work ethic I took it to a whole nother level. And that's where just, what we talked about before, training for 3 months, going into season, not taking any day for granted. And I just wanted to show what I could do when everything's figured out, show everyone and myself mostly, that player's there. I'm really just getting started now. So yeah, I'm really happy in the way it's all worked out. Fire's still under me and it's still burning. So
What was it about Southern Nevada that made it the opportune spot to make that change of scenery?
Absolutely. So with Vauxhall, we actually, once a year we'll take a trip down to Las Vegas, and we'll play a tournament down here, the Bishop Gorman tournament, around Easter time. And as part of that tournament, we'll practice for a day at CSN, and we'll also play a game or two at Morse Field here at CSN. So going back to my, even my 10th grade year, I kind of already knew about the place. And then in my grade 11 year, that's when one of the coaches actually reached out. At the time, I had just committed to Northridge, so the conversation was fairly brief. But they told me, yeah, we're here for you, whatever happens. Like, if hopefully everything works out for you, but you ever need a hand, like, let us know and all that. So I always knew this spot was somewhere that I've been at before. I kind of have a connection with. I know they like me. I definitely like them. So when it came to decision time, what do I want to do? I definitely was like, I want to go to a junior college, competitive one too, somewhere where not only I can, showcase myself and then look for a good fit for another, Division I school, or even just play and sign right out of there because I'd be eligible for the draft. So it was a very easy decision to kind of pick up the phone, talk to Coach Mack and everything, and then he talked with the coaches here and whatever, and pretty soon I was in connection with them, and it all worked out because they were I was talking to some other schools, but they were definitely my number one option, and as soon as the opportunity arose, I took it. I didn't have to think about it at all.
You mentioned Vauxhall, and so I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about your time there. I mean, you're a Surrey, BC kid, so how is it that you managed to find your way to the prairie lands known as Vauxhall Academy of Baseball?
Yeah. I must have been, how old? Probably 12, 13 that year. One of my coaches in Cloverdale minor baseball, this was right before the age where you jump into all the PBL programs. One of my coaches, he's actually Tim Blake, so he's Joel Blake, one of the assistant coaches at Vauxhall. That's his dad. So he saw kind of what I was doing on the field and what I could do and whatever, and he thought that I'd be a great fit for the program. So he started talking to me about it, and my best friend, who also played on the team with me, he noticed both of us, so he was talking to both of us about it. Showed us pictures, got us to talk to Coach Mack and all that. I thought in my head, like, it'd be so cool if I could go there. I'm not really sure if I'm good enough to go as a 10th grader. I don't know kind of what it's all about. But kind of same deal as with CSN. I was super interested in them. I didn't really want to go to a PBL program instead of them. So when Coach Mack called at the end of the year, me and my buddy had a great year. He called both of us and he told us, yeah, we're going to take you guys, or we have a spot available for you guys in 10th grade next year if you want to take it. And it was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, obviously I had to talk with my parents, but it was a no-brainer, and I jumped on it because, I mean, my life was already baseball to that point, and to be able to play at Vauxhall, where it's just, same thing, baseball and school. I couldn't pass that up, and I'm so happy I took that decision.
What did that experience mean to you, and what did you take away from being at Vauxhall?
So I think the biggest thing, I could talk for hours about what Vauxhall did for me, not just from a player standpoint, but from a person, from a young man, from anything. Like, that place is unmatched by anywhere in terms of just molding, young kids pretty much into some pretty mature dudes going into college or pro or wherever. But I'd say for me, one of the things that I took away from there that I'm going to carry with me the rest of my life, and this works for baseball and school, is just work ethic. I was always the kid, even before Vauxhall, who I enjoyed just taking extra swings and hitting off a tee before practice or after or whatever, and getting my dad to throw to me or whatever. Like, I knew it was work and getting me better, but I just enjoyed it. I liked doing it. It was fun. And then when I get to Vauxhall, that's part of the identity there is we're going to, nobody's going to work harder than us leading into season. No other program's going to have guys waking up at 6 a.m, go in the gym and do agility, go to school, lift after school, practice, and then, finish your school while doing your flexibility exercises later that night. Like, just a whole bunch of stuff that you don't really start doing till college. So that kind of not only taught me the right work ethic, but it made me love it that much more. So it's just part of my identity. It's part of who I am now. It's just, I could be really good. I could have a lot of talent. I could not, but that's not going to be an excuse for anyone to work harder than me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. You've had a lot of success, especially at the high school level, obviously getting to play T12, getting drafted by the Blue Jays, getting to play for Baseball Canada. Anything stand out as being maybe some of those moments where you went, man, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe that this is really happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say that's a good question, because I'd say there's different, levels of that would happen to me kind of constantly. Literally from day one, I was at Vauxhall. Like, we were at first practice. I'm 15 years old, looking around, kind of playing with some seniors, just seeing how kind of good the program was, and I'm a part of it. That was my first time. I went, wow, like, let's go. Like, I'm really doing something with my baseball career and stuff. So that was the first time. And then, obviously grow and develop and come into your own a little more. And I started having a lot of success there. And then, when I got the call to go to the junior national team, that was another goal kind of crossed off the list. Where when I got there, I was like, wow, looking around. Like, I definitely let myself enjoy those moments. I'm not really the kind of person who just rushes it off as another day at the office. Like, obviously I'm going to get to work and I'm going to do what I can. I'm not just going to stand there and do nothing, but I'm definitely going to enjoy the moment for what it is. And then kind of same thing happened there, kind of came into my own, started having some success, led me to T12, same kind of thing, look around, get excited, go to work. And then, obviously leading up to probably one of the more special moments, not just in baseball, just my life, was just getting drafted by the Blue Jays, which was, again, just another moment where everything that I've worked for and everything I've been doing kind of led up to me going, wow, I'm accomplishing something I really want to do. Now what's next, right? So just kind of as I grew up through high school, there was just a bunch of those moments, one after the other, that I don't think would have been possible if I didn't just have the kind of the work ethic that I was talking about earlier. Once you get one, move on to the other, and then you move on to the other, and I'm still looking for what's next, right? So
And obviously, what's next? There's quite a bit on the horizon still. Starting with back in January, you announced that you have future plans to commit to Arizona. What led you to that decision?
Yeah. I was at a point where I'd been through kind of the 4-year program already before. I've been through this now, so I'm pretty clear on kind of what I'm looking for, what I want, where I think I'm going to have success. So when looking at Arizona, talking to the coaches, talking to, players there and everything, it's a winning mentality down there. It's all about, doing your job, getting everything done. But there's also a tradition of just, they call it the MLB training ground. So there's a tradition of just developing players, getting them ready for the next level. There's kind of that higher standard and everything. So that's, it seems like a perfect place for me. Not only do I want to develop, I want to be pushed every day, not just by the coaches, but by, the players around me. I want that competition because I think that's going to bring out the best version of me. And, it's just a great opportunity. Ideally, I'd love to sign out of here and then start my career. Obviously things often don't work out in the perfect way. And I know that this just gives me another great opportunity going into next year. So I'm really happy about that.
Well, and another thing that is on the spotlight or on the, pardon me, another thing that's on the agenda here, this MLB Draft League, and you were spotlighted pretty early on in their draft league spotlights. What did it mean to you to be amongst those in the conversation there?
Yeah, obviously with the draft being pushed back a little bit until July, I believe that's when this new draft league came to be because of that. So we've been able to do some showcases here with CSN, and we've been able to have some pretty important scouts, especially on the PBR, and come out and watch us play. So they kind of notified me right before Christmas break that I'd be selected to go play in that if that's something I wanted to do. And, absolutely. I mean, not only is it a great opportunity, but it's just some more baseball and some more good baseball to play, and some in Pennsylvania and some old minor league diamonds. Like, whatever happens. But I'm going to enjoy the experience. So that's another thing I'm just excited for. I want to make the most of it, but at the same time, I definitely am not going to complain about being there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Put yourself into the shoes of someone who goes back home to BC or maybe back to Vauxhall, and you probably saw that back in your day there, was you'd have these alumni come through and offer words of advice, words of wisdom. Now that you're that person who's having some success and able to go back and talk to maybe some of those kids who are in grade 10 who are just starting their journey, what kinds of advice would you offer to them?
Yeah. The first thing I'd say to a young kid, especially someone in my shoes, is, hey, make some clear goals for yourself. Just write them down, talk about them. Just understand that you can have clear, concise goals. And then once you do that, just keep working towards them. It's not going to be all sunshines and rainbows heading over to them. But you got to understand that it's a step-by-step process. So, if I could talk to a young guy, I'd tell him, no bad day is your last day, and no good day is going to cause everything you've ever wanted and more. It's just a little process. What can I build on from yesterday, and what can I work on from yesterday? So if you do that little bit by little bit, I mean, there's really nothing that can stop you from accomplishing what you want to do. It's all in your hands. So on a baseball side, that's kind of what I would say. It's all about goals and work ethic. If you can put both of those two together, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter, if you're ranked, if you're not ranked, if you're spotlighted or not. It really doesn't. I definitely wasn't at all going into Vauxhall. Nobody really knew about me, and it took a little bit too, because it's just little by little. But the most important thing above all that is to just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment, enjoy what you're doing, enjoy being a kid, enjoy, not just if you're in Vauxhall, if you're wherever, enjoy kind of what you're doing right now, because, you could feel like you're having a tough go or a bad day, and then you look back, a couple of years later, and you're like, man, I really wish I could just go back and be there for a day again. That's what I was talking to Coach K about that, Jim Kokis, the other day. I was telling him, like, I hope it's probably a tough year for the kids right now at Vauxhall with everything going on, but I hope that, they're still enjoying the moment, they're still enjoying each other, and they're still just enjoying, these couple months where they're all in the same room together, because soon, they're never going to all be in the same room together again. So, I'd do anything to go back and be a Jet for a day. And I do mean that. So, it's all about staying in the moment, have your goals, and work hard. I mean, it's a process. Everything's a process. You're not going to get it done in a day. So it's just enjoy it.
Absolutely. Final question for you, and I get the feeling that might segue really well into what we always ask. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
To me, I love the game. I always have, since since I first started playing in T-ball. It's not only something I enjoy to do. I think it's fun. It's also turned into kind of part of my identity. It's just, I see it as something that I get to do every day. I put myself in an opportunity where I get to do what I love, to create opportunities for more things I love, and whether it's good or bad, I'm enjoying it regardless. So to me, the game of baseball is my, it works as the best part of my day. Sometimes it can even be my therapy for the day. It keeps me grounded. And I love it. I love everything about it. So whether I'm playing for a long time or I got to hang them up at some point, I want to stay in the game, maybe coach, maybe, have something to do in the game. But it's definitely got a special place in my heart. So it's going to be with me for a long, long time.
Damiano, really appreciate the time, really appreciate how candid you were here. Thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast, and all the best as you continue this toward start to the season.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to Damiano Palmegiani for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. With the Easter long weekend here, we thought we'd take a short break on the podcast to give us some time to work on a few things and give you a chance to catch up on episodes you might have missed along the way. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Until then, thank you for all of your support, no matter the platform of Alberta Dugout Stories.